it's also a book about the evolution of the NFL passing game over the past 75 years. You know, in 1937, the Washington, which is 75 years ago now, the Washington Redskins put Sammy Baugh on the field. And the idea in the NFL at that time was that you couldn't pass the ball, you were stupid to try to pass the ball. The forward pass had been legalized in football in 1906, but nobody used it. It had sort of come up in college, and in 33, the NFL changed the rules to open up the passing game a little bit more, and still nobody did anything with it. But the Redskins gave it a shot to Baugh, who passed the ball all over the field for a whole 1,100 and I think it was 1,127 yards. I might be wrong about that in his rookie season, and led the Redskins to a championship and really changed the game, turned the NFL into a passing league. And this book, in a lot of ways, is about tracing the evolution of the pass over the course of 75 years. The problem with that, what's great about that is that you can look at how the game has changed. The problem it sets up for me is that I also need to go back and be able to compare Tom Brady to Sammy Baugh. Well, they were playing different games. Particularly in the late 70s and early 80s, the NFL took a real interest in opening up the passing game and started truly tweaking the rules to bring about the game that we have now. So to go back before, let's say, Montana, and try to compare quarterbacks from the 70s and the 60s with people who are playing the game today, it's a difficult thing. And then to go back even further than that to 1937, you end up really not being able to do it. There's the grace of passer rating, which is a fantastic statistic that, as much as everybody hates it, it's a wonderful statistic. And it's one of the great things about it for me is that it can be applied back across eras, because it's based on 4 measures that the NFL has been tracking since it was an NFL, or since it was a passing game. So it allows you to go back and do that, and so that gives you a little bit better ability to compare a Tom Brady to a Sammy Baugh. But ultimately, you're making a lot of judgment calls.
How did you differentiate between salary cap era and pre-salary cap?
Well, that's another tough one, and to me, that's one of the arguments that plays into the Brady and Montana comparison, because Montana played his entire career, except for one season, in a pre-salary cap league. Montana played on a 49ers team that was stacked with talent, because you didn't have a salary cap, and you didn't have real free agency. Real free agency only came in again at the end of Montana's career. So you had teams that you had a league where good teams stayed good and bad teams stayed bad, and you could really collect talent over time. And as a result, Montana played on teams that he had a lot more weapons around him than Brady ever has. The same thing goes frankly for Bart Starr. Bart Starr's Green Bay Packers were absolutely loaded with Hall of Famers, and they weren't people who cycled onto the team for a couple of years and then cycled off on the other side. They were people who were together for years and years. That said, if you're going to compare, you're going to take a stat like passer rating and say, well, I'm going to apply this back across eras, regardless of rules that were changed to open up the passing game. I think at the same time, to a certain degree, you have to take that sort of same set of statistics and apply it across eras, regardless of the fact that that there were sort of different rules involving who could stay with a team, who would be on a team year in and year out. And the beauty of that comparison, though, is that you take the salary cap era that Brady plays in, where it's considerably more difficult to have success over time, and the non-salary cap era, then in the non-salary cap era, and Brady still comes out better, and he has better success over a longer period of time than a lot of people who played the position during the salary cap era, the non-salary cap era, and to me, that's one of the great arguments in Brady's favor.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.